we are going to see the analysis of sequential circuit. So the steps for the analysis of sequential circuit is first we have to determine the flip-flop input equation and output equation from the sequential circuit. So from the given sequential circuit, we have to determine the flip-flop input equation and output equation. Then we have to derive the transition equation. Then we have to plot the next step map for each flip-flop. For each flip-flop, we have to plot the next step map. Then we have to plot the transition table. Then finally we have to draw the next we have to draw the state table, and finally we have to go for the state diagram. So the steps are, first step is we have to determine the flip-flop input equation and output equation from the given sequential circuit. Then we have to derive the uh, transition equation. Then you have to plot the next step map for each flip-flop. Then we have to plot the transition table. Then you have to draw the state table. Then you have to draw the state diagram. So next we are going to see a problem. So in the problem, so a sequential circuit has two JK flip-flops A and B. So how many JK flip-flops we are having? We are having two JK flip-flops A and B with two inputs X and Y. We are having two inputs and two JK flip-flops and one output. The flip-flop functions and the circuit output functions are as follows. So here in this problem, instead of giving that sequential circuit, they have given the input and output functions of the flip-flop input functions and output functions. And they are asking us to derive first the logic diagram, second the state table, third the next state equation for A and B, and the fourth one is we have to derive the state diagram. So in this given question, instead of giving the circuit, they have directly given the input flip-flop input functions and output functions, and they are asking us to draw the logic diagram, and they are asking us to draw the derive the state table, next state equations and state diagram. So the type of flip-flop what you're having is JK flip-flop. In some other problem you can get SR flip-flop or some other D flip-flop or T flip-flop. Here the type of flip-flop is JK, and we are having two flip-flops A and B and two inputs X and Y. So first, by using this given flip-flop input functions and output functions, we are going to draw the logic diagram. So this is the logic diagram. So you are having two flip-flop JA and JB, and you are having two inputs X and Y, and you are having one output. You are having one output Z. So you are having one output Z, and with the Z also we have to draw here. Then we are having one output Z. So first we have drawn the logic diagram. So next thing is we have to find the next state equation. So here this is a characteristics equation or next state equation of JK flip-flop. So Q of n plus 1 is equal to J into Qn bar plus K bar into Qn. So this is the next state equation or characteristic equation of JK flip-flop. Here you are having two flip-flops, one is A and another one is B. So we are modifying this to A and B. One for A, another one for B. Then first we are modifying it to A, and in the place of J we have put JA, and in the place of K we have put KA, in the place of QN we have put as NA, and uh, we have put as NA. Now from the question they have given the value of JA, KA and QN. A bar is nothing but A bar, QN of A is nothing but A. Okay, this is the outputs of flip-flop. Next, we are substituting this value of JA, KA, then QNA bar, QNA in equation 1. So we will be getting equation 2. First, we are writing the characteristic equation of JK flip-flop. Here you are having two flip-flops, one is A and B. So you are modifying that as A. You are putting the suffix as A, and we are writing the value of J and K from the question, and you are getting the equation number 2. Next, here you are having two external variables X and Y and two state variables A and B. So here next step is we want in order to find the next state map, we need to draw a map having four variables. That is, you have to draw a map with four variables. A, B are the state variables, and X and Y are the external inputs. So you must write like this. First you have to write the state variables, then only you have to write the external variables. Okay. So similarly, now we are taking the first cell. For example, you take the first cell. So in the first cell, the value of A is 0, value of B is 0, value of this is the next state map of A. This is nothing but next state map of A. Next state map of A. So this is a next state map of A. So this is a four variable K map because we are having two state variables and two external inputs. Here we are not going for mapping and grouping. We want to find the values of the cells. So first we are taking the first cell, that is this is 0 0 0 0. So the value of A is 0, value of B is 0, value of X is 0, and value of Y is 0. And we are substituting in the equation 2. So this is equation 2. In this equation, we are substituting A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, X is equal to 0, Y is equal to 0. So A, B is 0, X is 0, B bar is, that is 0 bar, Y bar 0 bar, then A bar 0 bar, then B bar 0 bar, then X 0, Y bar 0 bar, then 0. Next, 0 into 0 is 0, then 0 bar is 1, again 0 bar is 1, then that 0 bar is 1. Then here also 0 bar 1, then 0, then 0 bar 1, then into 0 they are having a whole bar. Here 1 into 1 is 1, here 1 into 0 into 1 is 0. So you will be getting 0 plus 1 into 1. And here 1 into 0 into 1 is 0. So 0 bar into 0. Next is 0 plus 1 is 1. Then 1 into 1. Then 1 into 0 is 0. So we'll be getting 1 plus 0. So you'll be getting 1. So you have to put the first value of first cell as 1. Similarly, you are taking the fourth cell of first row. You are taking the fourth cell of first row. So the fourth cell of first row is the fourth cell of first row. This is the first cell of first row. Already we have got the answer as 1. The fourth cell of first row, value of A is 0, B is 0, X is 1 and Y is 0. So we are taking the fourth cell of first row, value of A is 0. So value of A is 0, value of B is 0, X is 1, Y is 0. So we are substituting in the equation 2. So in this equation you are substituting. Only X is 1, all the others are 0. So 0, 1, 0 bar, 0 bar, again 0 bar. Here also you are substituting. Then you are getting 0 into 1 is 0. 0 bar is 1. 0 bar is 1. So 1 into 1 is 1. Here also 0 bar 1. Here 1 into 1 into 1 bar. 1 bar is 0. So Here 0 plus 1, again 1 bar is 0 into 0. So finally we'll be getting 1 plus 0, 1. So the first cell, 4th row. Here also you are getting 1. Similarly, for each cell, you have to take the values and you have to substitute in the equation 2 and you have to find the next state map of A. Similarly, now we are coming for B. So Q of n plus 1 of B. So in the next state equation of JK flip-flop, we have substituted, instead of J, we have substituted JB, and instead of QN, you have substituted QNB, and here also instead of K, you put KB. And from the question, they have given the value of JB and KB. You are substituting in this equation 3, and you are getting the equation 4. Okay, now next we have to take a similar next next map, next state map for B. So this is the next state map for B. Okay, in this map we are considering the second cell of third row. Second cell of third row. In the third row, second cell we are taking. That is, value of A is 1, B is 1, X is 0, and Y is 0. And we are substituting the values in equation 4. These values we are substituting here. That is, here the value of A is 1. So 1 bar. X is 0. So 0. B is 1. So 1 bar. Here the value of A is 1. So 1. Then value of X is 0. Value of Y is 1. So 1 bar. Then the whole bar. So 1 bar is 0. So 0 into 0. Again 1 bar is 0. 0 into 0 is 0. 0 into 0 is 0. Here 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 bar is 0. 0 into 1 is 0. So you'll be getting 0. That is second cell of third row. Next we are considering third cell of third row. So first is second cell of third row. Then we are considering third cell of second row. The value of A is equal to 0, B is equal to 1, X is equal to 1, Y equal to 1, and we are getting the value as 1. So first we have considered second cell of, this is the second cell of third row. This is the third row. The value what is 0, correct. Then third cell of second row. Here got the value as 1. Similarly, we have to take each value and you have to substitute in the equation 4 and you have to find out these values. Then next we have to take it for output. So the output expression is Z is equal to AXY plus B X bar Y bar. Here also you are having 4 variables. You have to take the next step, next state map. So in the from the next state map, we are taking third cell of second row and we are substituting and we are getting it as 0. That is third cell of second row. Third cell of second row. We are getting 0. Okay, this is the next map, next state map for. This is the next state map for output. Now, next what we are doing is we are combining the map of A and B, Qn of A and Qn of B. So we are combined and we have got like this. And this is the present state. And this is the input. And this is the next state. So from this, we are going to form the transition table first. Then we are converting the transition table to state table. After forming the state table, we will be going for state diagram. Okay. So we have converted that individual next state map to one single map. From this, we can usually find the present state, input, next state. And you are having another map for output, that also we can take. Now we are going to see some the advantages of totem pole. So the major advantage of totem pole is that it offers low output impedance both in high and low output states. So in the high state, Q4 acts as an emitter follower. In low state, Q3 is saturated and the output is low. Okay. Because of the low output impedance, any stray capacitance of the output can be charged or discharged very rapidly through this low impedance, thus allowing quick transition at the output from one state to another. So the major advantage of this totem pole connection is it offers low output impedance. So due to this low output impedance, the quick transition from one state to other state is, can be done very easily. So another advantage is when the output is in logic low state, transistor Q3 would need to conduct fairly large current if its collector were tied to VCC through R3 only. A non-conducting Q4 overcome this problem. The disadvantage of totem pole output configuration result from the switch-off action of Q3 being slower than switch-off action of Q4. So the switch-off action of Q3 is slower than that of Q4. This is one disadvantage, and all the other things are advantage. Now, so on account of this, there will be a small fraction of time, order of few nanoseconds, when both transistors are conducting, thus drawing heavy current from the supply. So due to this difference in the switch off action, say a heavy current will be drawn from the supply. So this is the disadvantage. And now we are going for Schottky TTL gate. So this circuit is nothing but the circuit diagram of Schottky TTL. Okay, so here the type of transistor we are using is nothing but Schottky TTL. So the Schottky TTL offers a speed about twice that offered by normal TTL. So this Schottky TTL will be having the speed twice that of normal TTL with the same power consumption. The power consumption is same, but the speed is double when you are replacing the ordinary transistor by a Schottky transistor. So already we have seen the diagram of Schottky TTL. So it is nearly same as that of a normal TTL NAND gate. So the only one exception is there. Here the transistor Q4 is a normal transistor and it is not a Schottky transistor. Okay. So here the transistor is all the transistors Q1, Q2, Q5, Q3 and Q6, all the transistors are Schottky transistor, but only Q4 is a normal transistor. And this transistor will not go into saturation and it will only in active mode. Okay, it is in conduction mode, it will be present only in the conduction mode, and this is a normal transistor. The Schottky transistor is nothing but it is a normal transistor with a Schottky diode connected between its base and collector terminals. So a Schottky diode is a metal semiconductor junction. The type of junction that is having in the Schottky diode is metal and semiconductor. So we are making Schottky diode with the help of metal and semiconductor. It is not only faster and it offers a low forward voltage drop of 0.4 volt. So when the Schottky diode is conducting, the voltage drop across it is nothing but 0.4 volt. But in the case of ordinary germanium and silicon, it is 0.6 and 0.7 volt. The presence of Schottky diode does not allow the transistor go into deep saturation. So by the presence of this Schottky diode, the transistor will not go into deep saturation. The moment the collector voltage of the transistor tends to go below 0.3 volt, the Schottky diode becomes forward biased and bypasses part of the base current through it. The collector voltage is thus not allowed to go to the saturation value of 0.1 volt and it gets clamped around 0.3 volt. While the power consumption of Schottky TTL gate is almost same as that of high power TTL gate, owing to the nearly same values of resistor used in the circuit. The value of the resistors used in the Schottky TTL as well as the normal TTL are same, but the speed is more. Now we are going for the last output configuration. This is nothing but state or three-state TTL gate. So this is a normal three-state buffer gate. And the diagram what you have drawn here is nothing but it is three-state inverter gate. So here what you have drawn is nothing but the three-state inverter gate, and this is nothing but the three-state buffer gate. The difference between three-state buffer gate and three-state inverter gate is here the output will be enabled when C is equal to 1, and here the output will be enabled when C is equal to 0. Okay. If C is equal to 0, output will be enabled, and here C is equal to 1, output will be enabled. Now we'll come to this circuit. When C is equal to 0, it acts as an inverter. Output will be the complement of input. When C is equal to 1, the output is in high impedance state. So what is the condition? When C is equal to low, output is nothing but the complement of input. When C is equal to high, output is in high impedance state. So now we will go into the diagram and I will explain. So this diagram you can divide it into two parts. One, the upper part is same as that of totem pole TTL, and the lower part is equal to the open collector TTL. Okay, this is upper part and this lower part. Now this to the upper part we are doing giving data, and lower part we are giving control. Okay, and we are connecting these two circuits by means of diode D1. So by means of diode D1 we are connecting these two circuits. So first we are starting from the control side. So first I am giving the control input as 0 or low. I am giving control input as 0 or low. So this emitter base junction is forward biased. So current start flowing in this direction, and Q4 conducts the emitter base junction of Q6 conducts, but collector base section of Q6 will not conduct. So Q7 will not conduct and Q8 will not conduct. If Q7 and Q8 is not, if Q8 is not conducting, then this diode T1 will not conduct. Again, I am repeating. So I am taking C as low. So emitter base junction is forward biased. So current start flowing in this direction. Okay. And collector base junction is reverse bias. So this collector base junction is not conducting, Q7 is not conducting, Q8 is not conducting. If Q8 is not conducting, diode D1 is also not conducting. Okay. So at this time, the current flows in this direction, and okay, this is the first initial step. Now we are going for data. Now you assume that you are providing a data of 0 here. So first we have considered control input. We have considered control input, and due to the 0 in the control input, this Q7 and Q8 is off and D1 is off. Now we are giving data input as 0. If data input is 0, this emitter base junction is forward bias. It starts conducting in this direction. So Q1 will the collector base junction of Q1 will not conduct, Q2 will not conduct, Q3 will not conduct. At that time, current starts flowing in this direction. Q5 will conduct and Q4 will conduct, and output is high. Okay. So once again, I am telling, I am erasing everything and I am C low. So Q8, Q7 off, Q8 off, D1 off. Now I am giving 0 here. Emitter base junction forward bias, current start flowing in this direction. The collector base junction not conducting, Q2 not conducting, Q3 not conducting. At the time, current start flowing in this direction, Q5 conducting, Q4 conducting, output is high. Okay. Now C is 0. So this is not conducting, this is not conducting, this is not conducting, this is not conducting. I am giving data as 1. So this emitter base junction is reverse bias, so it will not conduct. Okay, so current start flowing in this direction, it will make Q2 on and Q3 on. So since Q2 is on, more current will be coming in this direction, so the amount of current in this direction will be less. So Q5 will not conduct and Q4 will not conduct and Q3 conduct, and output is low. So when control input is 0, when you are giving a data input of 0, you are getting output as high, and when you are giving a data input of high or 1, you are getting an output of low. So I have clearly explained the operation when control input is 0 and the data input is 0 and 1. So if you want, once again I explain, be clear. So first control input 0, this junction forward bias, so current start flowing in this direction. This collector base junction reverse bias, Q7 not conducting, Q8 not conducting, T1 not conducting. So this is control side over. Now we are coming for data. First, if you are giving 0, this is forward bias, so current start flowing in this direction. Q2 will not conduct, cyclic base junction not conduct, Q2 not conduct, Q3 conduct. But at this time, current flow in this direction, Q5 conduct, Q4 conduct, output is high. Okay, now I'm giving 0 here, so this will not conduct, this will not conduct, this will not conduct. Now I am taking data as 1. So this emitter base junction will be reverse bias. Collector base junction will be forward bias. Current flow in this direction. Q2 conduct, Q3 conduct. So since Q2 is conducting, more current will be flowing in this direction. So the amount of current which is flowing to the base of Q5 is not enough to make Q5 into conduct. So it is in off. So if Q5 is off, Q4 is off. So output is low. So these two things I have clearly explained. That is when your C is 0, that is control input is 0, that is when C is 0, you are getting Y is equal to A bar. Very clearly, I have explained how you are getting this. Okay. So now we are going to consider C as 1, C as high. Okay. So C is high, this emitter base junction will be reverse biased and collector base junction will be forward biased. So current flows in this direction, and it will make Q7 on and Q8 on. If Q8 is on, D1 will be on. Okay, so this Q8 will be drawing more current in this direction. It will, since the Q8 is conducting, more current will be flowing in this direction. Okay, now we will be coming to the data side. So when you are giving control input as 1, Q7 and Q8 is conducting, and the collector base junction of Q6 also conducting. Now we are taking data as 0. Since we are taking data as 0, more current will flow in this direction, and the collector base junction of Q1 will not conduct, Q2 will not conduct, and Q3 will not conduct. Okay, now since Q8 is conducting, more current will be flowing in this direction. So the amount of current which is flowing to the base of Q5 is not enough to make Q5 into conduction. So Q5 is also off, Q4 is also off. So in high impedance state, both this Q3 and Q4 are off. So we have considered the first thing. Next we are going for TS1. So this is conducting, this is conducting, this transistor is conducting, and this collector base junction is conducting. This is conducting, and um, more current will be flowing in this direction because Q8 is going into saturation. Now you are giving 1. Now you are giving 1. So since you are giving 1, this emitter base junction is reverse bias, but Q1 is forward biased. Q1 is forward biased. And since more current is flowing in this direction, the amount of current which is flowing in this direction when this collector base junction is forward bias is unable to make the collector base junction to conduct, then Q2 is off and Q3 is off. Okay, similarly the Q5 and Q4 is also off because the more current will be flowing in this direction. The amount of current which is flowing through Q5 is not enough to make Q5 on, and in turn Q4 is also off. So in both the cases, when C is 1, whether you are providing the data input as 0 or 1, both the transistors Q4 and Q3 are off. I will explain this once more. So we are considering C as 1. So since C is 1, this is forward biased, this Q is on, Q8 is on, then this diode D1 is on, and we are considering D as 1. So when you are considering D as 1, this is a reverse bias. So since Q8 is conducting, more current will be flowing in this direction. Okay. So in this direction, more current will be flowing. So now, even though this junction is a forward bias, the amount of current which is flowing here is unable to make this junction into conduction. So Q2 is off because no current will be flowing here. So Q2 will off, which in turn make Q3 off. So similarly, this Q5 and Q4 is also off because this amount of current flowing through Q5 is unable to make Q5 on. In turn, Q4 is off. So when C is 1, the output is in high impedance state. That is, both the transistors are off. So that is high impedance state. Okay. So this is tri-state gate. So now we will go into the explanation. So output of two TTL gates with the totem pole structures cannot be connected together as in open collector. So in open collector, you can connect the output of two uh, TTL gates, but in totem pole you can't connect. So we are going for a special gate. So for which we can connect. We are going for a special type of totem pole gate that allows wired connection of outputs. So when a totem pole TTL gate has this property, then it is called tri-state or three-state gate. Once again, I am telling. So in open collector, you can connect the output of two gates together, but in totem pole, you can't connect the outputs of two gates together. So in order to connect the two outputs together, we are going for a configuration called tri-state gate or three-state gates. So that three-state gate or tri-state gate, tri-state exhibits three output state. A low-level state when the lower transistor is in the totem pole of the lower transistor in the totem pole is on and the upper transistor is off. A high level state, then upper transistor is of the totem pole is on and lower transistor is off. And the third one, the third state when both the transistors are off. So high impedance state is nothing but in the state both the transistor is off. In the high state, the upper transistor is on and the lower transistor is off. In the low state, the lower transistor is on and upper transistor is off. So tri-state is means it is having three states: a low state, a high state, and high impedance state. The third state provides a open circuit or high impedance state that allows a direct wired connection of many outputs to a common line. So this advantage of this third state is by using this third state, you can connect more than one gate's outputs of gate together. So three-state gates eliminate the need for open collector gates in bus configuration. So when you're going for bus configuration, this three-state gates eliminate the need for open collector. When the control input is high, the gate is enabled and behaves like a normal buffer. Already we have seen. When the so here in this normal three-state buffer gate, the y is equal to a, you will be getting the output when C is high. Okay. So this is a normal gate and this is a three-state inverter gate. So inverter gate only you are getting y is equal to a bar if C is low. So here it is activated when C is equal to low, and here it is activated when C is equal to high. So that only we are. This is nothing but the norm in a normal buffer. When the control input is high, the gate is enabled and it behaves like a normal buffer with the output equal to the input value. When the control input is low, the output is an open circuit and gives high impedance state. Okay. So now what we have studied is nothing but the inverter buffer gate. In inverter buffer gate, when C is low, the output is nothing but the complement of input, and when C is high, the output is high impedance state. Okay, we have studied that. We have seen the diagram previously. In that, the transistors Q6, Q7, and Q8 associated with the control input from the circuit is similar to open collector. So I already told you that we can separate the circuit into two. One is open collector section, another one is totem pole section. The bottom part is nothing but the open collector, and the top part is nothing but the totem pole. Q7, Q6, and Q8. It forms a open collector, and the transistors Q1 to Q5, it is nothing but the totem pole TTN. The two circuits are connected by the diode T1. So as in open collector circuit, the Q8 transistor turns off when the control input is low. So when the control input is low, Q8 is off. And when if Q8 is off, then the diode T1 will not contact. So under this condition, the transistor Q8 has no effect on the operation of the gate, and the output Y is nothing but the complement of the input A. When the control input is high, transistor Q8 turns on and the current flowing from VCC through the diode D1 causes the transistor Q8 to saturate. Okay, so when we are giving a control input high, the transistor Q8 will be in saturation. The voltage at the base of Q5 is now equal to the voltage across the saturated transistor Q8 plus 1 voltage drop, that is diode drop, that is 0.9. So this voltage turns off Q5 and Q4 since it is less than 2 VPE drops. At the same time, low input to one of the emitters of Q1 forces transistor Q3 to turn off. When both Q3 and Q4 in the totem pole are turned off, the output behaves like a open circuit and high output impedance. Already I have explained it clearly. When C is 0, your output is nothing but the complement of input. I have clearly explained. So when C is 0, the transistor Q4 will conduct, and when your when C is 0 and when you are giving data input as 0, the transistor Q4 will conduct, and when C is 0, when you are giving data input as 1, the transistor Q3 will conduct. Okay. So thus we have studied the TTL in detail. Okay. So today we are going to see the topic emitter coupled logic. This is the topic of the fifth unit. Okay. So first we are going for the features to study what are the features of emitter coupled logic. So this emitter coupled logic family produce true and complementary output of the intended function simultaneously at the output without the use of any external inverters. So this ECL family will be producing the output and the complement of the output of a particular function simultaneously without the use of external inverters. Then this will reduce the package count, reduces the power requirement, and also minimizes the problems arising out of time delays that would be caused by external inverters. So by this setup, we can reduce the package count, power requirement, and also we can minimize the problems arising out of time delays that would be caused by external inverters. This ECL gate structures inherently has high input impedance and low output impedance, which is very conducive to achieving large fan out and drive capability. So this ECL is having high input impedance and low output impedance. So advantage of this is we can achieve large fan out and driving capability. So ECL devices with open emitter outputs allow them to have transmission line drive capability. The output match any impedance, any line impedance. Also, the absence of pull down resistor saves power. So in this ECL, with the open emitter outputs, it is this output can match any impedance, any line impedance it can have, can match. So it will allow to drive the transmission line drive capability. Similarly, there is no need of pull down resistors. Okay, so there is no pull down resistors. Here, the pull down resistors are absent in this emitter coupled logic. ECL devices produce a constant current drain on the power supply, which simplifies us the power supply design. So here the ECL devices, it will produce a constant current drain power supply. It will drain a constant current from the power supply. So it simplifies the power supply design. On account of the differential amplifier design, ECL device offer a wide performance flexibility which allow ECL circuit to be used as a linear and as a digital circuit. You can use this ECL both in a linear and digital circuit because of its differential amplifier design. It can be used in both the linear and digital circuit. Linear circuit means analog circuits. Termination of unused input is easy. Here in this ECL, if you are not using a particular input, then you can terminate an input. So how we are terminating means resistors of approximately 50 kilo ohm allow unused inputs to remain unconnected. If you that you'll be using 50 kilo ohm resistors to that unused inputs, and this will allow it to remain unconnected. Now another important thing is ECL family is the fastest logic family in the group of bipolar logic family. So this ECL, it is coming under the bipolar logic family and it is the fastest logic family. 1 mark will be coming or bit cosines will be coming, which is the fastest logic family in the bipolar logic family. This ECL is the fastest logic family in the bipolar family. This propagation delay is 1 to 2 nanoseconds. It is used in high speed circuits. This emitter coupled logic is used in very high speed circuits. Noise immunity and power dissipation is worst of all logic family. This ECL is having poor noise immunity and poor power dissipation. These are the disadvantages. Okay, it's high speed. It is having high speed and short propagation delay. So it has high speed or short propagation delay. So it is a non-saturated logic family. It belongs to non-saturated logic family. The meaning of non-saturated logic family means the transistor what we are operating will be in will operate in active region and it will not go into saturation. Okay, it will never go into cutoff or saturation, which means logic low and logic high states corresponds to different state of conduction of various bipolar transistors. In simple, we can say that in non-saturated logic, the transistor will not go into saturation and it will operate only in active mode. Next one, the logic sink. The difference between high and low output is nothing called logic sink. Okay, it is a difference in the voltage level corresponding to the logic low and high states. Here the logic swing is kept small, that is 0.85 volt, with the result that the output capacitance need to be charged and discharged by a relatively much smaller voltage differential. So here we are making that voltage swing small so that we can uh, charge and discharge the output capacitance in a very small time. Oh, already I have told this current, the circuit currents are relatively high and the output impedance is low. The current which are used in the circuits are relatively high. Due to that, the output impedance is low. So with the result that output capacitance can be charged and discharged quickly. So if the output capacitance is low, then the output impedance is low, then the output capacitance can be charged and discharged easily. So we can connect whatever load to this, whatever may be the load that can be connected to this particular ECL. Now these are the characteristics of ECL. Now we are going for the subfamilies of ECL. The subfamilies of ECL include MECL1, MECL2, MECL3, MECL10K, MECL10H, and MECL10E. These are the subfamilies of ECL logic. What are the subfamilies? MECL1, MECL2, MECL3, and MECL10K, MECL10H, and MECL10E. Now we are going for the emitter coupled logic. So this is the circuit diagram of emitter coupled logic. Okay, now it is having a differential amplifier. So this is a differential amplifier, and in the differential amplifier, in the one part you are having multiple transistors. The multiple transistors are used for the inputs. Okay, in the one side you are having only one transistor. In one side you will be having multiple transistors. These multiple transistors are used used to as the inputs. Okay, so this emitter coupled logic, the type of gate is nothing but it will be OR gate and NOR gate. It is having two outputs. Already I have while telling the characteristics, I have told you that this emitter coupled logic will be giving the output and the complement of the output at the same time without the use of the inverter. So here you are having OR output as well as NOR output. Now when you are seeing, it is having three sections. The first section is the differential input amplifier. So this section is nothing but the differential input amplifier, and the second section is nothing but the internal temperature and voltage compensated bias network. So this part, the green part is nothing but internal temperature and voltage compensated bias network. Okay, so and which is having a third part, that is nothing but the emitter follower outputs. So these two are emitter follower outputs. So once again I am telling, it is having three parts. First is a differential amplifier input, then internal temperature and voltage compensated bias network, and third one is a emitter follower output. So totally it is having three sections. So now we are going for the operation. Okay, now please listen. Now for this, the input what you are giving is nothing but minus. For low, the input what you are giving to this emitter coupled logic is minus 1.8 volt, and for high what you are giving is 0.8 volt. So you remember, for low we will be giving the input minus 1.8, and for high we will be giving 0.8. For low you will be giving minus 1.8, and for high you will be giving 0.8. Okay, now the second part is nothing but it is a biasing and temperature compensated circuit. So this part, it is nothing but biasing and a temperature compensated circuit. So here you are, for ground we are sorry, VCC you are giving ground, and for V you are giving minus 5.2 volt. So For VCC you are giving ground, and for VEE you are giving minus 5.2 volt. Okay, now due to this biasing, so here at the emitter, so due to this biasing at this emitter, you will be having a voltage of minus 2.9, 2.09. Okay, so due to this biasing at this point, the voltage what you are having initially is minus 2.9. You should remember. So the voltage you are having is minus 2.09. Similarly, at the base of this transistor Q5, the voltage what you are having is minus 1.3. So due to this biasing and compensated circuit, the voltage at this emitters of Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 is minus 2.9, and the base of this transistor Q5, the voltage what you are having is minus 1.3 volt. Okay, now we are going for the working. Now here you are having minus 2.09. Now first we are giving the input as low. Low means you will be providing, you consider that you are giving low input to all the A, B and C. So minus 1.8 you are giving at this point. So here at the input you are giving minus 1.8, and at the emitter you are having minus 2.09. Now we have to calculate VBE. So base you are having minus 1.8 minus of 2.09. So it is nothing but minus 1.8 plus 2.09. So we are getting here 0.29 plus 0.29, that is approximately equal to 0.3. So the base emitter voltage what you are getting is nothing but 0.3. But in order to conduct, the transistors must have a base emitter voltage of 0.8. In this emitter coupled logic, we are considering that the VBE needed to conduct is nothing but 0.8 in transistors. Okay, so we need minimum 0.8 to conduct. So here we are having only 0.3. So this transistor Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 will not conduct. So when you are giving minus 0.1, minus 1.8 to here, and here you are having minus 2.09. So this is emitter and this is base. So VBE minus we have to calculate VBE. VBE means VB minus VE. So minus 1.8 plus 2.09, that is nothing but 0 plus 0.29. In order to conduct, we need a minimum. So it will be having a 0.29, that is approximately 0.3 volts in the base emitter junction. So in order to conduct, this transistor need 0.8 volt. It need 0.8 volt to conduct, but it is having only 0.29, that is 0.3. So this Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 will not conduct. But this Q5, it base is having minus 1.3, and its emitter is having minus 2.09. That is minus of minus, that is become plus. So we are getting 0.79, that is approximately 0.8. So its basis at this Q5 basis is minus 1.3, and its emitter is at minus 2.09. So we have to calculate it. We have to calculate VBE. VBE means VB minus VE. So VB is minus 1.3 minus of minus 2.09. It becomes plus. So finally we are getting 0.79. So this 0.79 is 0.8. So this transistor Q5 will conduct. So this will conduct and this will not conduct. This Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 will not conduct because its base emitter voltage is 0.3. But here the base emitter voltage is 0.8. So Q5 will conduct. Okay. Since Q5 is conducting, Q8 will also conduct. Since Q5 is conducting, Q8 will also Q8 will be conduct. Since Q5 is conducting, the current flow in this direction and Q8 starts conducting. And in the OR output, if this Q8 is conducting, the output is nothing but low. So what we are giving, the input what you are giving is low. So input we are giving is low, that is minus 1.8. So if you are giving all the inputs low in a OR gate, then output will be low. Okay. Now this Q7, it is connected to this transistor Q3. So when you are giving a low input, the transistor Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 is not conducting. So this Q7 will not conduct, and here the output you are getting is nothing but high. Once again, I am explaining clearly. So when you are giving low input, the transistor Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 will not conduct. These four transistors will not conduct and Q5 will conduct. So since Q5 is conducting, Q8 will conduct and the output is low. If a particular transistor is conducting, then the output is low. Now, since the transistor Q3 is not conducting, this Q7 will not conduct. So here we are getting a high output. So when providing a low input, you are getting a low output at the OR output and you are getting a high in the NOR output. Okay, clear? So you know that NOR is nothing but the complement of OR. So here you are getting low and here you are getting high. So clearly I explained we are providing minus 1.8 to the inputs A, B, C and D. And it and already due to this biasing network we are having a minus 2.09 at the emitters. And at the base we are having minus 1.8. Now we are calculating the VBE. If a particular transistor want to conduct, its VBE should be greater than or equal to 0.8. So here when you are calculating the VBE for the transistors Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4, you are getting only 0.29. It is approximately 0.3. So this transistors Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 is not conducting. But at the same time, the transistor Q5, its base value is minus 1.3 and its emitter value is minus 2.09. So while calculating VBE, it is getting a value of 0.79, that is approximately equal to 0.8. So this Q5 will be conducting. Since Q5 is conducting, Q8 is conducting, and the output what you are getting is low in OR output. So since Q3 is not conducting, this Q7 will also not conduct and we are getting a high. Next we are going to give input of 0.08, that is high. So you are giving high input to all the inputs, high to all the inputs. So already here you are having minus 2.09 and here you are giving minus 0.8. So 0.8 minus 0.8 plus, that is minus of minus 2.09. So you are getting 1.29. So minus 0.8 plus 2.09. So you are getting 1.29. So 1.29 is greater than 0.8. So the transistor Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 will conduct. So what happens? The transistors Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 will conduct. So due to this conduction of this transistors Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4, this emitter will be getting a value of the The input what you're giving is minus 0.8, and due to the conduction of this transistor, you'll be getting another minus 0.8. So 0.8 minus 0.8 is nothing but minus 1.6. So this emitter, when this transistor Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 are conducting, this emitter will be having a value of minus 1.6. Okay, this emitters will be having a value of minus 1.6. Now, for this transistor Q5, its base is at minus 1.3, minus the emitter value is minus 1.6. Minus of minus is plus 1.6. So you are getting only 0.3. So in order to conduct this transistor need more than 0.8. So here you are having only 0.3. So this Q5 will not conduct. Since this Q3 is conducting, Q7 will conduct, and you are getting a low output at NOR. Since Q5 is not conducting, this Q8 also will not conduct, and you are getting a high output here. So when you are giving a high output, high input means minus 0.8. When you are giving a high input, the output what you are getting in the OR is high, and when you're getting the output in NOR is low. So clearly explain what you're getting when you're providing an input of all inputs high. Now we are considering